to span fairly equally on those kind of the things that we've talked about, and then adjust to the context based on needs. If my stolen base guy got hurt, or sometimes it's not even that he got hurt. I kind of explain how stolen base category is distributed. It makes sense to try to aim towards the middle because a few extra steals isn't going to get you that high. But at some point, you notice, geez, the way my league is distributed, if I get another stolen base guy, I can get this many more points. Then you want to get that guy. So I think, in theory, I'm going to spend it fairly equally on what we'll call it the smart buys, the double starts, the barks, that sort of thing. And then it's playing. If a guy gets hurt, you gotta invest, especially if his backup's pretty good and he got hurt on your team. You may have to spend more because he's a good player, et cetera. So I don't know that I can see where some people are going to answer starting pitching. I think I kind of like this because I think the hitting, using streaming hitting is an underrated aspect of playing, especially in FBC where there's two times a week, Monday and Friday move. I think that's an underrated way of adding a few more points onto your roster is streaming hitting.
Absolutely. Let's go to the mailbag. Let's go to Ruvain first on this one. Jeff Anderson asks, with the small sample size of 2020, any guys we should be buying into, Corey Seeger to Brian Hayes, or avoiding Benintendi or Simeon? What say you, Ruvain, about those guys?
Now, those guys, very, 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 very wide range of variabilities with them. Corey Seager, his hard hit contact was up, his K percentage was down. That tells me you should buy into him, even though it was a short time. Plus, he has the pedigree. Okay, so he's been around for a couple of years, and you know what he was getting, and he's actually fully healthy coming back from surgery a couple of years ago. Brian Hayes, it's very hard to tell with the rookies from last year. You need to see a full season because during the course of the full season, usually pitchers adjust to these rookies who come up, and they usually hit a wall, and some players last year didn't hit that wall, so you don't know how they were able to adapt to the new pitching. Now, when it comes to the players who were down, you mentioned Andrew Benintendi. It was his fourth year. He was injured. His hard hit rate was down, but the whole team struggled. So I think that he's a guy you can actually buy low on if there is a change of scenery. I think that he has something mentally. He has a mental block. That's my opinion on it. And I think that if there's a change the scenery, I think he'll do a lot better. And when it comes to Marcus Simeon, I've always been high on him, but he's only really had 2 really good years. He's got a floor of about 250, 15 and 10. But you can't throw out what we saw from last year. He didn't hit that well. And what are you getting? He's already on the wrong side of 30. He's going to sign a contract in the next couple of days probably. And we don't even know where he's going to play yet. So I'm a little nervous about Simeon. I'm a little nervous about Benintendi if he's still a Red Sox. And I'm a little nervous with all rookies from last year.
Todd, do you disagree on those?
Yeah, I mean, to save time, yes. I'm going to make a more general statement. Actually, I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm going to say that, Ruben, Alex Cora coming back is a change of scenery. And while I understand what you're saying, I don't think we can undervalue, there's that word, understate the importance. Teams take on the personality of their manager, and not that Ron Renick was a bad guy, but he wasn't exactly a fiery guy. And I think, and not that Cora is, this fire plug either, but I just think they missed that. So assuming the whole sign scandal doesn't affect that aspect, I look for Rafael Devers and some of these other players that were down a little bit to pick it back up. I'm just worried a little bit about Benintendi in general, and the same. But I think, and I couldn't reading the question, I couldn't tell if these were exactly these 4 players, if he was just talking about anybody with a big breakout. I want a reason. And maybe it's subjective, maybe it's a narrative, but I want a reason for either good or bad, and just not looking at the numbers and looking at that. So a guy like all right, Zach Plesac. I know he's I don't call it hot button, but very polar player. He's the way he's being drafted very, very aggressively. And while I agree that Zach Plesac is better than I thought he would be, he has improved the skill set. We can talk small samples, but extremes in small samples are often meaningful. He started 8 games against a weak geographical zone, against only 5 teams in that geographical zone. And he pitched 3 games on 4 days rest, standard 4 days rest, 3 games on 5 days rest, and 2 games on more than 5 days rest. Now, one of those games was when he was being punished, and how much he was being thrown on the alternate side, I don't know. But he did progressively better with more rest. So let's see what Zach Plesac does against a tougher schedule, throwing every 4th game. So here's an example of a breakout that I'm not buying into, not because he hasn't done it before, because I see some stuff under the hood that scares me a little bit. So I'm behind the market on Zach Plesac, and sometimes you have to be willing to be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong.
Todd, who would you rather have, Cabrian Hayes or Franmil Reyes for the same price?
Oh boy. I guess if I'm taking a shot, it'll be Reyes, but neither of them really fit my mode of players. I do like what we've seen from Cabrian Hayes, but he kind of like what we said about Plesac, he batted against the weakest pitchers, over a short amount of time. Let's see what happens when he sees a wide array of pitchers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If I recall, I think I like Hayes' approach, the plate skills. I think I like those, which led me to believe in him. But Reyes, the problem, I'm not convinced he's going to play 150 games.
I like Hayes, but I think there's just so much helium on him. He's going to pick 130. Just such a small sample size for him to be going that much. I just for the record, I like Franmil Reyes so much more than Cabrian Hayes. It's not close in my opinion.
You ask in a year, we both may change our minds, but I'm with you. I mean, same area. Give me Gio Urshela over, and it sounds like they're going around the same area. Give me Urshela over Hayes. Urshela may even be going later than Hayes if he's going 130. I'll take Urshela over Hayes.
Yeah, Urshela is going. He's going a little bit later than Hayes. But I would rather have Urshela than Hayes. Yep. And ATC projections agree. ATC projections are going to come out next week, and you'll see all this for yourself. Let's go to the next question here. It is from Morgan Day, who asks, it's a keeper question. It's an interesting one. He says, I am needing to extend Tatis in a 5x5 NL Roto auction keeper league. His current salary is $5, plus $5 for each additional year of control. What would you say is his floor over the next 4 or 5 years in that format? $20, $25? So it's a case where Morgan is trying to ask, how many years do you think he should keep Tatis for with that scheme where it's $5 and then you add $5 each year to know, hey, should I give Tatis a 4-year contract, a 6-year contract, such that it's pretty much arbitrage that you're always going to win. What would you do with Tatis? Would you give him a 5-year contract or more, Todd?
I mean, I understand what he's thinking, and you can approach a different manner. The floor. I don't know. I look at him; he's going to be a $40 player over the course of what we're talking about for the contract. So then it's just a matter of how good is my keeper list now? Is my window 2 years? Is my window 3 or 4 years? So it's all contextual. But I don't want to look at it in terms of floor. How much potential profit do you want? And of course, you spend them. If you make them $30, you're in theory, I'll knock on wood, you're going to get $10 to $15 worth of profit. You're going to get it for. Some people turn it into a math problem. I get $15 of profit for 5 years. There's $75 of total profit. If I extend them just 3 years, I'm making numbers up. 3 years, and it costs me $20, and I'm now getting. Potentially, $30 of profit over 3, $90 of profit, that's the better deal. To me, it's kind of a touch, and it's more of a feel thing. It's more art than science, and it's based upon my roster itself. And the risk. I mean, if he's healthy, he's going to at least $40. Could be closer to $50. Although I believe this is an NL only, probably not as much. But I want, and I also trust myself that if I got Tatis, I'm going to get somebody else in a couple years that's, a nice bargain. So I like the extra profit and trusting myself to find the next Fernando Tatis on my team. So I'm more likely to undershoot it than some other people are. But I can't see whatever the $25 number is, years is, I can't see going less than that.
Yeah, I would say about 5 years. I think the trading aspect could be something because you don't know where you're going to be in 3 years. Maybe in 3 years you're going to rebuild, and you might have a very affordable contract for somebody. You should rig it so that you can get maximum trade value at any point. I think that should be a factor. Anything to add, Ruvain?
Yeah, I think I'd go on the lower side of that because he's going to max out his profit in 3 or 4 years. I think his floor is maybe 30 homers, 50 stolen bases between a 268, 270 average. That's his floor. I mean, at some point, if you keep adding money to it and his contract keeps getting more expensive, he's just not going to be worth it. It's going to be too expensive. And just like Todd said, you can get you can get more profit from somebody else, even a shorter time down the road.
All right, last question. Long Island Tony asks, this one's for Todd. Todd, what are your favorite Flyers post 300 ADP?
All right, so I got the question, advanced a little homework. I'll just rattle off some names. So if you're listening at 1.5 times speed, slow her down now. On the batter side, Alex Dickerson, C.J. Cron, Corey Dickerson, Cesar Hernandez, Edward Olivares, and Jared Oliva are some guys that I like, and there's some various reasons why they're post 300. Dickerson injury, Cron, where's he going to play? Cesar Hernandez is always disrespected. And Olivares and Oliva, I like, as we talked about, how do we handle steals. I love those guys as reserve or late round steals guys to supplement. Now, the pitchers, I found more. It's just, I think we both probably have more pitching just because the natural way we like to play. Caleb Smith, Yusei Kikuchi, who I think is probably the top target on the list. Tanner Rainey for closing. Josh Lindblom, I like the underlying metrics. Des Sclafani, we talked a lot of park factors. I think there's some park factor stuff going on there. Trevor May. Diaz has to close their stuff. He should, and I know it's a new management, but they read the papers. One bad stretch and Trevor May could close. Austin Gomber, like what I saw at the end of last year. And Dakota Hudson being out, the shot should be there. Merrill Kelly, concerned about the coming back from the injury, but I really liked what I saw when he was healthy. And why not Michael Wacha? It's as my RotoWire Boston colleague referred to it in a piece this week. It's appealing to authority, in that meaning we trust Tampa Bay what they can do. They saw something in Michael Wacha. I'm going to trust their trust, and potentially take a shot. That's probably more of in a the draft championship format when you're 35th round and looking for a pitcher. Yeah. So
right,
that's the list. You can put the 1.5 again.
No, thanks for that, Todd. It's great stuff, everyone. Yes, and listen to that a couple of times so you get all of them. And hopefully you won't play in a league with Todd because he's kind of good here knowing his stuff. Let's go with injury report from Ruvain. Hit it.
All right. Well, we got a couple updates here. Mitch Haniger, he had multiple injuries the last couple of years. He actually resumed full baseball activity. He missed all of last season. If you want to take a flyer on him, he's definitely out of the over 300 ADP. He's someone to look for, maybe take a flyer on. Tom Murphy, he missed all of 2020 also with a fracture in his foot. He's now participating in full workouts, and he's good to go. Brett Honeywell, he underwent a minor procedure earlier in January, and he isn't not expected to miss or have any issues with availability in 2021. It was considered a quote-unquote truly a minor procedure. take that whatever you want it to mean. But he just wanted, Honeywell himself wanted to eliminate any doubt that there's anything going on in his elbow. And another guy who you can take a flyer on as well, out of the, he already passed 400 ADP, Gregory Polanco. He actually fractured his wrist in the Dominican Winter League. He's expected to